Hi, I'm Christian.
And I'm Caleb.
And I'm Jamie.
And welcome to Generation Sensation.
And we are going to be doing...
Debating Xbox, the new consoles for Xbox and PS5.
And and Nintendo. Also, we'll be talking about the controversial topic known as Black Lives Matter.
We're discussing Xbox versus PS5 versus Nintendo.
I already said that.
I know that. Spicy. We're going to do a spicy challenge. And that's why we have water.
But before we do any of that, we're going to start with some fun facts.
Fun, tickling facts.
Jamie, how about you start us off with some fun facts?
Alright, since I'm the creepiest, let's do this. Number one.
Right. Yeah, proceed.
Are you serious right now? You just hurt my feelings. Okay.
I'm sorry.
There is enough DNA in the average person, which is true, one of us right here, to stretch from the sun and to Pluto back 17 times. That is insane. That's 62.9 billion miles. And yet somehow my grandma's car has more miles than that.
He says the average person. Yeah, we're not the average people.
Sure, leaning like half out of frame when you do this.
Yeah, we're not the average person. Let me tell you that.
Well, second fact, water can boil and freeze at the same time. It's called the triple point. Let me check that. Yep. And for third fact, 1914, the first telephone wire, coast-to-coast telephone wire line was established.
And did it go from Florida to Washington? Did it go from California to New York?
You know, I don't know. I didn't research. I could have done that for one extra more minute.
How long did it take you to research these facts?
10 minutes.
Not surprised.
10, dang. That's difficult. I couldn't do that.
You really want to say that? You really want to say that?
I thought you said it was Maine, though, before.
Did you know Elon Musk is the first wealthy African American?
No, you didn't even say it right.
Elon Musk is the wealthiest African American in the world because he was born in Africa.
Yes.
Which technically makes him African, and he lives in America, so African American.
And what was your other fact?
Giraffes have the same amount of vertebrae as a human.
Bet you didn't know that. And my facts are more historical. First, did you know Lincoln was like in the Hall of Fame for wrestling or something? Or so I've heard. Not sure how legitimate that is. And no, I'm not talking about WWE.
And all you 2K players out there.
Talking about, I'm pretty sure the traditional wrestling, you know, that kind of stuff. The second fact is Lyndon Johnson, not the Johnson that followed Lincoln, but the Johnson that followed Kennedy after his assassination in 1963. Johnson would frequently have meetings with his staff when he was in the bathroom, and his staff members have reported seeing his schlong multiple times. His Johnson, which actually is probably where the name came from, why some people call it Johnson. That's probably why. Actually, more people are more familiar with the term Johnson than they are with Johnson himself. So that's just an interesting fact. But I guess now we're going to get on to our first main topic. We're going to be talking about the new Xbox, the new PlayStation, and we might throw in some Nintendo there. So, how about you start us off, Christian, with the Xbox?
So, Xbox Series X, everybody knows it's going to be better, obviously. It's going to be more powerful when it comes to specs that we've heard of so far. It's gonna be more powerful, which means it's gonna be able to run games faster. I mean, PS4 may have PS5 may have the loading screens down, but Xbox is gonna have the games when it comes to actual gameplay. They're gonna have the speed when it comes to running them, and the quality, and that they're also gonna have. They're gonna have a lot better airflow in it. Mainly because of the shape that it has, and there's going to be a big fan on the top of it.
Looks like a PC tower.
Yes, which is actually very good because that's what they're going for. They're going for more of a PC and not an actual entertainment console anymore. They're changing the game into actual game consoles. PS5 is doing the same thing.
My argument to the power thing is, when's the last time the most powerful game system won the generation?
Every single time, because
PC
always wins.
Yeah, that's the thing.
My keyword, you said console.
I said, yeah, exactly. So then so that would be the SNES was the last time, basically. Let's run through some examples really quickly. The Nintendo GameCube was the most powerful of the 6th generation, but yet it almost was a failure. I like the GameCube too, but the PlayStation 2 ended up winning despite being the least powerful of the 3.
No, I thought it was the Xbox that was the least more powerful.
No, I'm pretty sure it's PlayStation, and we don't talk about Sega.
Oh, yeah.
And then for the 7th generation, I'm not sure which one was more powerful, the PS3 or the 360, but it doesn't really matter because the Wii destroyed both of them. And and obviously that was by far less powerful than the 360 and the PS3. And the PS4, while it was the most powerful in the beginning, Xbox has soon taken it over in power. And I think Xbox, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Xbox is in 3rd place right now. And they were in 3rd place the last generation, and they were in 2nd the generation before that. I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure, but I do think the Switch did outsell the Xbox.
If we're counting that, though. Switch, 9th generation, what's going on is a lot of people compare it to the 8th generation, particularly it's a 9th generation console because of the failure of the Wii U. Now, how's it going to compete to true 9th generation consoles? Also come up with the Switch Pro, I feel like, although they already have good numbers, they're not really going to do that well. Because yes, portability and stuff like that, but that's not really going to get them far. If you want to get a lot of more generation games coming to the Switch, doesn't matter how much you dumb down the graphics, it needs to be intelligent enough or at least be able to handle it. Because with the Xbox Series S, I heard that's 4 teraflops, and if that's really true about what they're releasing for a second alternative console, the Xbox Series X, Nintendo, you need to go do at least that bare minimum. Now, the Switch does, I heard, 1 teraflop, and I heard it's like only just a third of that most of the time. But yeah, and so at least it needs to be 4 times more powerful, if not more, to be able to run newer gen games. Because it's way more powerful than the Wii U, but still weaker than the newer gen consoles. I mean, this gen consoles, not newer gen.
Which is why I think Nintendo really needs to set their priorities, because they definitely have a problem right now that they really need to consider. Because think about this: if the Switch if Nintendo wants to count the Switch as a 9th generation console, that's great and all, but that would kind of be an embarrassment to them, because the other people will be like, oh, well, the Switch's the Nintendo's 9th generation of console is less powerful than the PlayStation and Xbox 8th generation. I mean, that's going to be kind of an embarrassment for them. I understand it's not all about power, obviously, as I just stated, but there comes a point. And plus, Switch gets the games after, like a week to years after the other systems get it. And here's the problem: in 2020, when games come out, they should be getting it at the same time, and some games do. But PlayStation and Xbox a lot of times gets it substantially sooner than the Switch, and every now and then it's even more expensive on the Switch.
Because the cartridges.
But how do they expect to stay competitive if they're getting everything late and more expensive?
And not having powerful enough. Yeah, no one wants to play GTA 5 for the 3rd time. We already saw how everyone was disappointed at the PS5 announcement.
Yes, very much so.
I have heard that they will be adding different. They're not going to change the storyline at all, but all together. But I have heard they're going to be adding newer missions and stuff to the story mode and the storyline.
That'd be wonderful. Although not as wonderful as if GTA 6 came out.
Just release the logo or something.
At this point, yes.
If you don't have the logo done, then I really gotta concern you.
So for the next generation of consoles, we've kind of established Xbox is going to have the advantage, followed by PlayStation, and even if Switch releases a Pro, I still don't see it being as powerful as the upcoming Xbox and the upcoming PlayStation.
I just say at least 4 teraflops. 4 teraflops at least.
But that's not everything though. Specs is not everything. Let's talk about games.
Well,
Exclusives.
backwards compatibility. I heard Xbox isn't going to really have any more exclusives for about a year from like one of the developers or whatever. So, besides backwards compatibility, which let's fill in on that.
Oh, when it comes to backwards compatibility, Xbox is going to be able to play any game that they've ever released on one console if it's the disc. You'll probably be able to download them and buy them, but if you've had them in the future digital, you can download them on that console future. And they'll be able to run faster than they would on the older gen consoles.
And we know PlayStation's going to have backwards compatibility with PS4, but they haven't really said anything about their older games. So I think Xbox, if PlayStation doesn't do that as well, Xbox is going to have that advantage. However, I don't think it's a good idea that they're waiting on exclusives. Xbox is holding back exclusives because, see here, like, wait, what?
I still don't think that's true with the holding back on exclusives.
I heard it from Jamie, but I haven't done research on that myself, so I could be talking
Right up our butts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this sense, I'm just gonna say, if that proves to be true, even if not, Xbox is really kind of struggling to find a market, and even PlayStation in a way, but not really. Because people buy a PC for power, there's no doubt about that. They buy PlayStation and Nintendo products usually for exclusives. And sometimes they might buy Xbox for power and exclusives,
But that's for cheap.
usually. So Xbox is kind of at this weird, it's at this weird middle ground where it's not as powerful as a PC, but it doesn't have the exclusives like PlayStation and Nintendo does.
And plus of how unique Nintendo is, and this PlayStation, like with their DualSense, they're coming out with that. The Xbox just has basically a regular controller.
What is DualSense?
DualSense is way more powerful version of the DualShock, and
It's like a vibration.
like you could
I turn off vibration in games anyway off my game, so I wouldn't like that anyways. I turn it off.
Personally, I think it immerses you more into the experience, but that's my opinion. But I can understand what he's saying.
yeah, like I would love to feel that, like feel able to walk through the mud. And for people that says, well, you can't play more than one console. You have to be a fanboy.
No. Not at all. That is not true.
We are the 3 fans of each console.
I mean, I would say he prefers Nintendo, I prefer PlayStation, he prefers Xbox. That's not to say, I mean, I also own a lot of Nintendo systems. I sadly don't own any Xbox systems, only because I just haven't been interested in it. That's not to say I'm not going to sit here and criticize it, but it's just it's our preferences, but we're not going to sit here and be fanboys for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would love to play on all 3, and I mean, I already play on Switch, but I'd rather play on the other 2 too.
And I think that'd be very important. And yeah, so I think what do you guys think? With that all being said, who do you think's gonna win this next console generation?
That
It's difficult to say. It's very difficult to say.
if we go back to past consoles, let's see who won. Okay, so PS2 won. Why?
Why did PS2 win?
Yeah.
I think it had to do with marketing. It wasn't really exclusives. I don't believe it was too much exclusives. If anything, GameCube would have won the exclusives thing. The reason PS2 won is I think, I'm going to guess its pricing. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure it was cheaper than the GameCube and the Xbox.
Plus, it could play PS1 games.
Yeah, so that could have played a role. Plus, Xbox was new at that time. And then the next generation, the Wii won. Well, I think it's pretty obvious why the Wii won. Everybody and the grandma owned a Wii. I think because it was Nintendo realized that PlayStation and Xbox have the hardcore gamers at this point, and PC, but especially PlayStation and Xbox. So Nintendo, if they wanted to survive after almost failing with the GameCube, the only way for them to survive is if they, instead of competing with PlayStation and Xbox and PC in some sense for competitive gamers, they needed to win over the casual gamers. Which is why a Wii Remote is nothing like a regular controller. I mean,
That's still really fun to play with.
oh yeah, they were trying to appeal people who weren't necessarily gamers, and it worked. It worked very well.
And they still keep up with that style to this day.
And this new, and Nintendo's very unique. They win the uniqueness battle every single generation.
But let's hope that they don't have that go to their heads and help. There's a family of consoles. Which, would you like to fill me on that?
Family of consoles is 3 or more, which just like a family.
Unless they count, like with the original Switch, they came out with not as good as a battery as they re-released it with currently. A few months ago, or about a year ago.
Right.
So, and they came out with the Switch Lite. Unless they, like I said, unless they count the newer battery Switch, that's technically not a family. That's only 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Finish.
Yeah.
In terms of sales, Switch already has the advantage since they want to count it as a 9th gen, but it could also play to their disadvantage, like I said, being less powerful than the 8th generation of consoles. But technically, Switch is already winning 9th generation, technically.
And already beat Xbox One.
Yeah, which I thought to be very surprising. Actually, if it keeps going at the rate it's going, it will eventually surpass PlayStation. But the fact that Xbox was out since 2013, and then 4 years later the Switch came out and Switch already surpassed Xbox, that's saying quite a lot.
I heard, I remember when it was first being released and stuff, I was hearing that everyone was saying, like a lot of YouTubers would be like, Nintendo would be real lucky to have 20 million units. Now they're up to like around 50 to 60 million.
Yeah, Nintendo almost left the gaming market. But like I said, each console has their own benefits, so to speak. And I think my prediction is, while Xbox might be the most powerful, does that mean it's going to win the generation? By all means, no. But will it help them? Yes, it will definitely help them. Because Xbox is staying more the same in terms of controller, which it could be a good thing. I'm sure a lot of people like that. Personally, I like innovation, and I think I'm really glad what PlayStation's doing with their controller. But that's just my personal opinion. To each their own. But and of course, we don't know the quality of the microphone with the controller.
I think some benefits of the Xbox keeping the same controller is, since they're going from entertainment console to more serious, main, just hardcore gaming consoles, I think the benefit is, all those people that play Xbox and they go really try hard and they're trying to get competitive with just Xbox, it's going to help them out a lot, because they're not going to be going from a regular Xbox controller and completely switching the controller up in the size and everything and messing with their gameplay. It's going to help them a lot, because it's just going to, they're not going to have to completely get back used to the controller just to become good at the games they play again. That is a benefit. But one thing will be changing, I'll have a button in the middle, a share button. So you just press that, and it'll kind of like how the PlayStation has, except it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and I can completely understand that argument, and in many ways I can agree with it, but at the same time I also think change is... See, I'm the kind of person that, in anything, I don't think change is ever really a bad thing. I think change is usually almost always a good thing. But I can understand familiarity is also a good thing as well. So I can see where he's coming from, and I'm sure he can see where I'm coming from.
Now, speaking of the Switch Pro, however, with the share button, that's only for 30 seconds. It's hard, like really hard to edit off there.
Which PlayStation can do, sorry to interrupt you, PlayStation can do up to an hour. Sure, it kills your storage, yes, but PlayStation even has this built-in editing software, which I use a lot to make a lot of my videos. Share Factory, which is very convenient. It's actually very advanced, and especially since you can make 1 hour clips and then you can combine the clips and edit them, I think that's really, really, really cool. I just wish Xbox and Nintendo did something like that. Xbox is similar, but it's very limited, while Switch you can only do 30 seconds.
Like, yeah, if they're going to do a Switch Pro, at least 60 seconds. That'd be way more of a help than 30. And double the memory and make it to where, like I said before, 4 teraflops is the bare minimum.
Yes.
With the Xbox Series S, I think I said this before, right? If it's $200, that's going to be flying off the shelves.
Oh, by all means,
If
yes.
my rumors are correct. Which, even if it's $300, I still think it's going to be flying off the shelves.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I could buy all if I could do all 3, I would totally do it. But the reason there's these console rivalries to begin with, my reasoning for that is probably because most people who play these consoles don't have money to get all 3 of them. A lot of them, yes, have preferences, but for the most part, people just get what they can afford. So pricing is the most important thing in selling a console. Even more important than power, and more important than exclusives, I think pricing is probably the most important thing, because especially for casual gamers or kids who are gamers whose parents are buying the console, I think that's important. I mean, we're only teenagers, so even for teenagers, it's about pricing, because not everybody's made of money. So
yeah, and I want to talk about the design of the Xbox Series X and PS5. PS5 is huge, like up to here.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox Series X is like up to like half that.
Yeah.
Which is perfect, because the design of it is like a PC tower. The cooling can be out a lot, which I hope, since of how big the PS5 is and how the Xbox Series X is, there's no jet engines like the PS4 Pro.
Oh gosh, yes. Or the original PS4.
Wow.
That I will agree there that which I hope PS5 also fixes that, because I remember when the prototype of the PlayStation 5 came out, people said it looked like a toilet, which yeah, it did. But like I knew for a fact, and I'm sure most people knew for a fact, that wasn't going to be the final design. Actually, I really like the final design of the PlayStation. It looks very futuristic or modern or something. But in terms of practicality, I think the Xbox design is better. But that's just my opinion. So yeah, PlayStation 5 looks better, but Xbox, I think, will have more of a purpose.
Now, a lot of people may disagree on this. Oh, sorry, Kim.
No, I was finished.
But may disagree on this. I still like how Xbox still uses their batteries. Like, you can still use batteries and also charge at the same time. That's cool. Because, like, let's say my charger's broken, or my batteries broke somehow, or just drained. I can either charge it or put batteries in. Perfect.
I see that, but I definitely think moving forward, I don't think it would be logistical to have batteries in the new Xbox controller, in my opinion. If they do, that's great, but like, I just don't think in 2020. I just think that's a bit outdated by now.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also see why it can be a good thing as well.
One thing I do not like about the PS4 and just PlayStation, well, mainly just the PS4 because I don't know how PS5 is going to be like this, is the way you have to sync them.
Yeah,
I like
see
how
that.
Xbox, it's just 10 times easier. You press the button on your controller, button on the Xbox, and it's synced. Like my sister's controller, it was somebody's controller. They couldn't sync it to any of the to the PlayStation anymore because the PlayStation's USB drives didn't work.
I'll check that.
Everything worked fine except for the USBs on the PlayStation. So then they had to completely get rid of their PlayStation, and they couldn't sell it to nobody because nobody could use it because of the USBs.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I see where he's coming from there for sure. So I want to ask you guys an important question. I think this has
Sorry,
to,
guys, I have to go check something. So if I'm not answering right away,
this has to do with Corona, which I know if you came here to ignore Corona, I'm sorry, but it's everywhere at this point, and you can't ignore it anymore. I don't even think I knew what the word Corona meant in 2019, to be honest with you.
which actually that's not its real name. Like it's actually COVID-19. That's actually part of its virus classification.
Yeah, 2019. But I just want to ask you guys, before we talk about Corona in general, I want to ask you guys what your opinion. How do you think Corona will affect the generation? Do you think it'll push back release dates of not only consoles but of games? Do you think it will slow down release of exclusives or even games in general? What do you guys think about that? Do you want to start, Christian?
With how it's gonna.
How Corona will affect the gaming industry as an entirety, because E3 was canceled.
Which was horrible. I didn't like that. It made me sad.
Not that PlayStation wasn't going to be there anyways, but
E3 is dying.
Yeah.
Ever since like Nintendo was smart. Like they started doing online stuff. No one really liked that, but everyone started doing online stuff after that too, and it's starting to die. I wish come on, can you just do something at E3?
Yeah, Nintendo doesn't do much with E3 anymore. They just do directs. PlayStation completely left E3, so basically you're just going there to watch Microsoft. Might as well call it Microsoft 3 or something.
Microsoft 3.
Or Xbox 3 at this point, because Xbox is the only one still doing it.
Or Macro Hard.
But that's gonna. Well, when it comes to E3 and the people that like going for the people
Yes.
and the electronics there, it's going to help Microsoft out a lot because then they're the only ones getting big advertisement there mainly.
Yeah, I get
Besides,
that.
all the other stuff that's there.
But generally, how do you think Corona will affect the gaming industry?
I don't know if the consoles will come out later. I feel like they'll still come around November, December, obviously holiday when they're supposed to come out. But I think it'll affect the games more because those are more like bigger groups working together, and you can't really do that except for online. And it's tough to do it online with,
Right.
yeah, with everything that's going on.
What do you think?
Online. Well, I think it's gonna be still a little bit bumps, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the same when released and stuff. And they're gonna be doing limited consoles. I'm pretty sure, like limited amounts, but still come at the same time when it was to be expected.
Yes.
And this has actually really helped Nintendo at the same time. COVID's really helped.
Yeah, like Nintendo Switch. When I was trying to get a new Nintendo Switch, because I already previously owned one, they were flying off the shelves. I'm not saying that COVID hasn't helped Xbox or PlayStation, because it probably has, but it's really helped Nintendo. Probably because I don't even know why Nintendo specifically. Because Nintendo would thrive better when you're playing with friends who are nearby, and you can't really do that.
They still do a lot of local mode.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird how Nintendo's the one thriving. You would think that they would be hurting the most in this, but I'm glad to see that they're thriving. And even the other companies, it's not hurting them. I mean, that I know of. So.
Still helping them quite a bit. I've seen their raising numbers too.
Anything else you guys want to talk about for the next generation of consoles before we kind of change topics a bit?
Nothing I can think of.
Beautiful Joe 3. But because I'm a Beautiful Joe fan.
So, I guess the transition here, since we were talking about Corona, what is your guys' opinions on Corona and how it's affected your life, and how do you think it's going to affect the world going through? I'll start, I guess. Personally, it's kind of hurt, honestly. I feel like it's not good for mental illness of personal experience, because, interaction really can help, not hide mental illness, but it can really be almost a medicine, at least for me. and it's kind of hard not to do the social interaction. Yeah, we're all less than 6 feet apart, but there's only 3 of us. And you know, the fact that school, it really messed with school for us, which you can say what you want about school, but like the online schooling is just, it didn't work for me, and I don't know about these guys, but it really didn't work for me. So I'm just hoping that we go back in September, because we'll be seniors, all of us. Although they're older than me, but I think if we wear masks, I'm fine with that. Sure, it might not be the most. It's not just I don't prefer to, and shortening class, or not shortening class sizes. Reducing class sizes. I mean, it'd be difficult, but I just hope we don't do online. I just really hope we don't do online schooling. And
Couldn't take it.
yeah, that's how it's affected us thus far.
Passed pretty well, but no.
I mean, so what do you guys think about how it's affected your personal lives?
I really hope we don't miss our senior year.
Same.
Even if we just go, even if we have to wear masks, even if we have to social distance, even if we have to constantly wipe down our tables, even if we have to do it in the middle of the year, like come back to school, I'm fine. I just don't want to miss my last senior year.
Right.
I mean, your only senior year.
Only, yeah.
Well, I mean, unless you want to count when we're 90, going to the reunion still.
But like, it's not only us personally though. This is going to affect the world, and economically, we might not recover from this for a very long time. Hopefully, sooner than later. But this is definitely hurting. This is hurting the economy. More importantly, it's killing people. Now, sure, it's not as bad as like old pandemics in the past, but you also got to think.
It's 10 times worse than the flu. If I'm not gonna die, at least I don't want to suffer for this, because the flu was hard enough.
Yes.
The flu times 10. I would be bedridden.
Well, for some people, they don't really feel an effect for corona.
Yeah, it depends on the person, which is still we're discovering why. We're trying to figure out why that happens.
So, the sooner the vaccine, the better off we'd be, and the quicker we can recover from this, and hopefully this can be a memory of the past, not so much something that lasts for a long time. So, we're just going to hope for that quick vaccine, which people are restless right now. People are dying, people are restless, and I think, honestly, it's controversial to say, but leadership right now during Corona has been kind of bad, especially since other countries in the world have been seeing a decrease. We were starting to see a decrease, and then we shot back up because of our reopening process is terrible, with all due respect. New York State's actually doing a pretty good job, which is the state we live in.
Which was the first spike of all this.
Which was the worst in the country at one point in time. States like not California, my bad. Well, they're not doing too great either, but states like Texas and Florida are not doing very well with this, and they're seeing respikes. Because unlike other countries, we can't, other countries, okay, everybody wears masks, pretty much. A strong majority of the population of other countries, they're asked to wear a mask, they wear masks. They're asked to social distance, they social distance.
And yet we fight like children.
Meanwhile, you ask people to wear masks and they act like it's an infringement on their rights.
Like 40, 50-year-olds yelling, screaming basically. Literally, and there was a lawsuit being filled out because of it. About how...
Hey, you're partially off the screen.
Oh, how they literally don't want to wear masks. I'm sorry, I didn't know this. We forgot human decency. Doesn't matter if you don't want to wear a mask or not. Let's say it is infringement on rights. It's at least human decency to not get the other person sick. And two, you're 50, 40, 30, maybe even 20 years old. You're an adult. Start acting like it. It's just a mask. It's not like it's changing your entire face with face paint.
I mean, masks, they're not even to protect yourself more so. They're more to protect other people. Protect your family, your friends. Protect the people of this country. Because America is doing a terrible job keeping them, so.
I mean, yeah, we can keep going.
So is it still recording?
I just started it again.
Okay.
Hold on, does it automatically delete stuff? Like let's say it's too much? Like this video
No, it won't. It'll just say we don't have storage.
I hate when that happens.
Okay, so where do you want to start back?
Where did we leave off?
Okay.
We were leaving off where Caleb was saying COVID-19 leaders.
So we are not doing a good job with Corona, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. America has also had another problem going on, which brings us to our next topic.
It's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. Now, before we talk about the meaning of Black Lives Matter, the current events going on Black Lives Matter, we have to take a look at our history. And before I do that, I'm gonna let Christian talk about his opinion first.
It's a tough it's definitely a very tough subject to talk about, especially when some people get angry
Yes.
with it. I mean, yes, of course, everybody's equal. Everybody means the same. Everybody's the same. We're just people. But when it comes to people judging others and assuming things about them just by their color, or even their race, not just their color, it's just that's what's going on now. It's tough to talk about, especially since those people, or the people that are just like us, we think everybody's equal. It's when those people start to get angry, and that's never a good thing, as you've seen with the riots. And like he said, and some of my other friends have said, one bad apple ruins the bunch. So then you have that one person that acts out, starts looting, starts rioting, and everybody follows them because they think that's what's going on now. And then there's still those people that keep the peaceful protests. But one reason how America in the corona and how it's skyrocketing is also with these protests, because 75% of the people there weren't wearing masks, and they were all so close together going through the streets. I think there was probably a better way we could have protested without putting other people in danger of corona and making it go so high up. But people weren't thinking. They were just mad. And I completely understand that. It 100% makes sense why people were mad and why people were doing what they were doing to stop this. Even though I don't think it will ever be stopped, but it's something we can try and achieve, is equal.
And
equality.
you done?
Yeah.
Okay. And one thing that makes it different than other countries, obviously one of the reasons for the respike in COVID is because of the protests. But why isn't racism this bad in other countries? Well, that's not necessarily true. There is. South Africa had a very, very large problem with racism for a very, very long time. We had slavery. We acknowledged that, and that was a terrible thing. And ever since slavery, we've been struggling with racial tensions worse than most countries for a very long time. Take the 60s. I mean, there's always been a struggle for Black Lives Matter, but the movement itself of Black Lives Matter the term didn't really come into play until 2013, I believe, something around that time period, when, oh, forgive me for forgetting the name, I'm blanking out right now, but a African American was shot and racially discriminated, and as far as we know, all he was doing was just walking around. And like I said, I did not research too much into that. I was very young when that happened, so I don't remember too much about that, so I don't want to discuss something and it turns out to be I'm wrong. But ever since, that's kind of where the movement started, and more African Americans have been killed by people, and injured too, but they've been discriminated against, and especially
by police officers?
Yes, I was getting there, especially police officers. And this isn't something that just happened this year, like a lot of people want to think. Like, George Floyd was just the straw that broke the camel's back. It was caught on video. Yes, could the people recording, should they have done something?
Oh yeah.
Yes, they should have. But there's fear installed in people. Fear installed that you should respect the police. The police are there for you. I'm not trying to sound racist here, but a lot of white people and some privileged people, like I said, I'm not saying all white people are privileged, no, I'm not saying that. But, they look at the police, and growing up, I looked at the police, oh, they're here to protect you. But that's not how it is in certain areas. Certain areas, you see, like in rundown African-American communities, they see the police, and they see bad. I mean, the police are not there to protect them. If anything, they're there to go against them.
And it's not them just being killed, it's the reasons they're being killed is what's really the problem. Them being discriminated towards leading to them being killed. It's because you can't just say that it's because they're being killed. It is because they're being killed, but it's because of why they're getting killed. Because white people, other races do get killed as much. It's just they're being racially profiled against, and that's why they're being killed.
I wouldn't say just as much. Black people are killed a lot more in smaller areas, like more rundown areas, because of our economy. Let's think that.
Yes.
Yes.
More of a percentage. See, people are like, oh, more white people get killed by the police than black people. Yeah, they're forgetting something. There is more white people in this country. Now, in the year 2040, that'll be very different. White people will actually eventually become the minority in this country. But we still got a long time before we get there. So, it's the percentage. A much larger percentage of African Americans are targeted compared to the overall percentage of African Americans, as opposed to how many whites are targeted by the police or killed by the police compared to the overall percentage of white people. And it's a serious issue. Like George Floyd, did that cop have any right to have his knee on his neck for that long?
No, and from the video I've seen from the one recording and ones over where the shops were, he wasn't resisting. They were like pulling him over and forcing him on the ground.
And I believe the reasoning was is he paid with a fake $20 bill, but he did not know it was fake apparently. So even if he did pay with a fake $20 bill, is that
That's
any reason to
life?
is that any reason to kill him? I mean, honestly.
Wow.
And just because
Sorry.
just because like Christian had stated, one bad apple ruins the whole tree. I've said that a lot, and it's very true. It's not only with cops. Not all cops are bad, of course not. Just like not all protesters are bad. In fact, Jamie and I, we went to a couple protests, and it was overall very peaceful. We don't live in a very big city. However, overall, they're very peaceful. I know the news doesn't like to talk about that. They like to point out the looting and the violence, which, yeah, some of them do. Just like I understand from some of the one of the right-wing arguments, it's like, oh yeah, well they don't talk about when white people are killed. Yeah, I understand that as well. It goes both ways. It's a two-way street, but it's
You're more likely to hear of a white person getting killed than a black person.
yeah, and I mean when you look at the percentages, when you look at the racially profiling, when you look at the fact that the police claim, oh, well, we're only in these African-American communities because they're poorer and poorer places have more crime. Well, let's take a second to realize, why are they poor? Okay, that's something you really ought to think about. When you're born in these poor African-American communities, it's really hard to mobilize. And even when you do become wealthier somehow and move to these richer, whiter areas, yes, I hate to say it, but they're whiter, you get racially profiled there. There's no way out of it.
And plus, in those areas, there's a lot of drugs because you need food on the table. What are you going to do? Sell drugs or go get a regular job? When I'm not sure on this, but some jobs
Racially profiled.
can racially profile. Can, not saying all. Now, a lot of things, this has been going on ever since BLM. Not BLM. MLK. Martin Luther King.
Even before that, in many instances.
I mean, like, here's a side thing. If you take the teachings of I've only heard this, I could be speaking out my butt. I haven't really read much about Malcolm X, but he was more for riots than MLK. Which, with what MLK said about how... Yeah, I'm lip smacker. About, you can riot and stuff, but prepare for the consequences of that.
Mm-hmm.
He was more for peaceful protest, but, yeah.
And as I have stated on my Instagram and Facebook, which I do post very political things on there. I might start doing it on Snapchat too, I'm not sure. But here's the thing. Here's what I always consistently... I always see these right-wing arguments, and I love debating people, by the way. If you want to debate about this, I'm more than happy to. Just be polite and respectful about it. That's all I ask. But I see these arguments like, oh, well, he was a criminal, George Floyd was a criminal, or Black Lives Matter, or they're rioting, and even though most of them are just protesting. And then they started taking down statues, which is the next big problem right now. Yes, a lot of protesters, and more particularly rioters, are taking down statues. And do I really support them taking them down? Not necessarily. I think, and I saw Joe Biden say this earlier, and by the way, I do not agree with Joe Biden on that many issues. In fact, I didn't even want him to be the nominee, frankly. I was more of a Bernie Sanders supporter, but we're down to Biden and Trump, so, I mean, so, I think statues of people like Robert E. Lee and other people who fought for the Confederacy, which, by the way, these statues were not placed there during or right after the Civil War. A lot of them were placed in the early 20th century, years and years and years after the war actually even ended. So, yes, these statues should be preserved. I'm all for that. But do they really have to be placed on public places paid by the tax dollars of people? And a lot of these times, these statues are placed in areas where African Americans live, and their tax money goes for maintaining these statues. And these African Americans have to walk to the store, drive to the store, and look at these statues of people who saw their kind as inferior. So, put it in a museum, that's fine, but I don't think they should be in public spaces. Now, why are the rioters taking down statues of George Washington, maybe because he owned slaves, whatever? I don't really think, I think that's a bit overkill to go for statues like that. And there's even been a couple instances where they taken down statues of people of abolitionists who supported their cause. So that's kind of strange. But when it comes to these racist, yes, I'm saying Robert E. Lee type people, fought for the Confederacy, I think they belong in a museum, not in a public space. And I always see this quote being posted all the time. Lincoln said, "If I could preserve the Union without freeing any of the slaves, I would." And then below it, it shows a quote of Robert E. Lee saying that he doesn't believe in, that after they win the Civil War, some right-winger told me that Robert E. Lee was going to free the slaves after they won the Civil War.
Yeah, okay.
But I responded, does that make any sense? The whole point of them fighting for the war, if the South wins the Civil War, you know for well they are not going to, and they were not going to plan on ending slavery. I mean, maybe in the future, but no, the whole point of them fighting for it was to keep their slaves. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense for them to fight a lost cause war, basically, and then free the slaves. Like that's lives put at risk for absolutely no cause whatsoever. And Lincoln, if you could preserve the Union without freeing the slaves, is taken out of context by right-wingers all the time. That goes against his personal wishes. Lincoln had previously, as stated actually, I believe in the same exact speech, that his personal beliefs is that slaves should be free. But he knows that there was a lot of racist people in the North, and there still is. So Lincoln would have never been president if he never would have said that. So he said that to appeal to a base so he could become elected. So he wasn't saying that because, oh, well, if you could preserve the Union without freeing slaves. No, that goes against his personal beliefs. But you don't see that. You never see that. You always just hear these arguments like, oh, well, if I could preserve the Union without freeing any slaves, I would. But it was taken out of context.
Alright, and I've heard a lot of YouTubers who've grown up in bad neighborhoods who are African American or black. Typically, you can't say African American because there's also Hawaiian American and I think Jamaican American or whatever. But you know what we would mean. Black YouTuber, police do not help you in those areas, and a lot of times they could have just made something out like a killing like George Floyd out to be a small petty crime if it was even a crime. Or could have gotten turned around over to the family members or something like that. Now, this is going to be controversial. For the guy who stepped on his neck, George Floyd, knee on his neck, George Floyd, yes, I did watch the video. I just mixed it up.
It's okay.
A little nervous here. But George Floyd, for the guy who kneeled on his neck, technically we did not know the heart of him. But what I agree with is he could have easily just gotten away scot-free. Because why not? Because why not? He's black. Not many people are gonna defend him. No, I'm talking about police officers. But yeah.
Or should I think? Oh, were you gonna say more?
Let me think.
Oh, and do remember that we aren't trying to offend anybody. We're just speaking our opinion and what we think. Freedom of speech.
And I'm totally for Black Lives Matter.
Same here.
And I've been doing a little bit of my research and stuff like that. Totally for Black Lives Matter.
So may I say something about those who say all lives matter? Because I guarantee you, if this gets widely recognized, there's going to be all lives matter, which is an argument I get a lot. And
hold on. Can I turn up the air conditioner? It's getting hot in here.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So here's my argument about all lives matter. Ignore that. But the people who are saying all lives matter, are they racist? No, by all means, no. There are racist people, of course. But I understand the meaning behind all lives matter. I mean, the sound of it. I mean, if you didn't know anything about Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter, and you heard Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter, well, All Lives Matter sounds better, doesn't it? Yeah, I understand that.
It's really loud.
Oh my god. Oh.
But let me explain.
We don't have much longer.
But let me explain to you the sense.
Right.
Let me explain to you to make it understand, because in a way, us saying all lives matter isn't a bad thing, but it's not the right thing you should be saying. So,
especially when there's Black Lives Matter and the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes.
That's like saying to someone's grandma that died, my grandma died. It's so sad. Well, my grandma died. Your parents' grandma died. It's okay. It's okay. You need to calm down. It's not a big deal. We all have grandparents that have died and will die.
And there's an example that I didn't come up with myself, but it's not very widely used, so I'd like to throw that out there. So let's pretend for a second. Try to visualize this. Close your eyes, visualize it, or keep your eyes open. I don't care. Visualize this. Two kids are playing outside. We're gonna call one of them Black Lives Matter. It's a black kid. I'm not trying to be racist at all. I'm not. I'm just saying we're gonna call him Black Lives Matter, and the other one's a white kid saying All Lives Matter. You know, it doesn't even have to be black or white kid. They can both be the same color if you want. But one's name is Black Lives Matter. Two kids. Or you could even have more if you really want to. But you can have as many of them as you want. But one's name is Black Lives Matter. The other one's All Lives Matter. And you can even name the rest of them All Lives Matter if you want. If you want to add more. But here's the example. Two kids are playing outside. One falls down. These are little kids, by the way. And scrapes his knee and is bleeding, or breaks a leg, or does something. But we're just gonna go with the scraping a knee scenario. They scrape their knee. They need a Band-Aid. Under the philosophy of All Lives Matter, are you gonna give the other kid a Band-Aid too? Or are you gonna give all the kids Band-Aids because one scraped his knee and fell over? Because that's kind of what All Lives Matter is saying. Like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Black lives are suffering right now. But what about my life? I'm white. What about my life? Like, that is not what it's about. I mean, yes, everybody has their own struggles, but white people are not going through the same struggles right now.
They don't have to go and get racially profiled or worry about the cops shooting them or killing them in any way.
It's not about us right now. I mean,
if there are issues from other races and stuff like that,
yes.
Okay, but we have to solve this first, and it's never gone away ever since
Black Lives Matter.
I mean, MLK, yeah. So ever since I like to use abbreviations. MLK, even after which is not, you have to research him. If all you did was school, you're probably not getting the full story of Martin Luther King. But what happened with him, after that was all fine and dandy, still stuff like that. I mean, still racially profiled. It never went away. Ever since this country was around, racially profiled, especially by the cops.
And one thing this is kind of my final point on this, and then we're going to go on to the next thing. But one of my final points I'm going to say about Black Lives Matter is I'm unbelievably proud of the people protesting. I do not condone the people who are rioting, but the protesters I'm very, very proud of. And the people who are, especially Generation Z, and even millennials to some extent, and there's some from other generations, but it's so unbelievably proud to me that our generation is standing up, and we're not going to take this garbage that the media is spewing to us. We're not going to deal with racism anymore.
Trump out of office, I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah, which, when Trump tweeted a video with one of his supporters saying white power. I don't know how you can keep denying that Trump isn't racist at this point. He claimed he didn't see it, but honestly, this is going to be very controversial because I know some Trump supporters are going to watch this. But he tweeted a video with one of his supporters saying white power. I mean, how did he not see it? It was 8 seconds in, but that's not the point. So I think getting Trump out of office would be the first step to racial equality. But, I mean, there was racial inequality well before Trump, a long time. So that's just a step in it. And if you are a Trump supporter and you want to debate this, I'd be more than happy to. Respectfully debate it.
Hey, Christian, can you pass me the garbage can?
But, anybody else have anything to say about Black Lives Matter before we go on to our final topic?
Yeah.
We respect your opinions and who you are voting for and who you go for when it comes to elections. We respect your opinions. I'm not gonna say anything because when it comes to elections and things like that, I'm not that big into it. When it comes into political things in the first place, I'm not.
But I am.
I'm not big into all that. So vote for who you want. I don't really know anything about either of them, so my opinion doesn't matter.
Mind you, we aren't even old enough to vote. None of us.
Yeah.
I'm almost able to vote. It's gonna give me 4 more months. But
how many?
Few more months.
I think it said 4 more months. I'm like, no.
But if you don't know what red privilege is, which basically all of us in this room have it.
Sadly.
What is it?
Red privilege?
White.
It's not clothes. It's not clothes. It's not expensive phone. It's not that. Because anyone can own that kind of stuff. And yeah, what white privilege is let's say, I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say a white bum on the street is applying for a college. He failed high school. He's been a bum for 20 years, and he wants to start changing his life around. He has, let's just say, trouble reading or something like that. Now, and plus this college is like really expensive. Let's say it's Yale.
Oh, geez, that's a big college.
And then there's this rich black person who's done athletics in high school, who has some of the best, if not the best grades.
I wouldn't say rich. I would say just hardworking more so.
Also really hardworking. He also applies for the college, but the only reason why. Oh, hold on. Sorry. But the white bum gets it. Wanna know why? Because he was white. That's white privilege. That's the only reason why he gets it.
I mean, don't get us wrong. There are black scholarships
Not
as
saying,
well. But
not saying Yale's racist.
no, we're just using that as an example. And
Yeah.
yes, there are black scholarships, but
But that's, besides just cop-wise, that's another way someone can get racially profiled. That's white privilege. Now, comparing another race to a black race, not sure about those kind of privileges, but white privilege, that's white privilege.
and yes, it's not ignoring things like Latinos are struggling through very similar problems that the black community is, and
Oh my god, the wall.
yeah, like that's ridiculous. I mean, if you can even call it a wall, more of a fence. The Asian community has been better off in a way. And if you're an immigrant from Europe, you're fine, unless you're from Eastern Europe. Like that's not how it should be. I mean, I'm not saying let every immigrant in, like open borders. No, I'm not saying that. But I mean, there has to be a point where you can't just like, oh, all immigrants bad. I mean, we were built off of immigrants.
We are literally immigrants right now.
Yeah, but
We stole Native American land, slaughtered them.
we've talked a lot about it. If you want us to talk more about this and you want to comment something, go ahead. But we're going to
And please, hold on, I just want to say this. Please, if we get something wrong, wrong,
feel free to
at
correct
all,
us.
please correct us, because we're all about change. We're not like 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds, even some 30-year-olds who have a thumb stuck up their butt and don't want to learn. We want to learn, and we have been to rallies and stuff like that, and we get the basic message.
Yes.
So if you want to correct us at all, please correct us, and sorry if we offended
Can
you.
you grab the other chips? No.
Thank you for listening to us.
Or if you feel free to express your opinions and what you think about political things and everything, go ahead.
Yeah. So now on a lighter note, we're going to transition to something a bit more free.
We're doing a spicy challenge, and we're gonna rate each thing.
Yes, and we're going to try one of each at first. And
Pass me the plate.
we're going to take some drinks in between. And we're just going to see which ones taste the best and which one's the spiciest. Because just because it's the spiciest doesn't mean it tastes the best.
Yeah.
So we're going to rate it 1 through 10, I guess. Is that good with you guys?
Yeah.
So just put a few of each on your plate for now. We're probably going to eat the rest of these after the video, by the way.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go.
using the
We're gonna go
same-
hamming.
I thought we were just gonna put each kind on different. Wait.
Oh yeah, let's put each kind on different plates. Yeah, that's actually a better
So
idea.
you don't cross-contaminate.
He's right, he's right.
Has to be scientific.
Alright, there's that. Ooh. I'm sorry, I'm getting my...
Delicious.
So, let's tell them what we got here. We got Doritos Flaming Hot. Yeah, let's show the camera. Doritos Flaming Hot.
My favorite kind, hot Cheetos. I've eaten it before, yes. I'm allowed to eat stuff before.
No, you're never allowed to have it. Leave.
Here, eat this way.
Let's do that for now. So, with that all being said, we also got water because, you know, we're gonna assume for that. So, let's try the Doritos first. So, let's all take a Dorito, get it time to sink in.
Yeah, yes, teacher will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr.
And wait, you guys can jump in. You guys can tell me if you
Alright.
want to try something else.
Okay, I eat this.
Alright, we're gonna try the most red hot stuff.
It's delicious. I like it.
I think I'll have another.
Not too bad.
If you want to get a good example of how hot it is, I think I'd eat a few.
It's not too bad so far. Let me have another one. I've had all of these, and from what I can tell, this is probably the hottest. But you get used to it pretty quickly.
On the spiciness level, I'd give it a 5. On
Yeah.
I give it a 4.
On a taste, I'd give it a 3 because it just tastes like a regular Dorito.
Well, Doritos are good though.
I mean, it's a lot of the spice would add it, and the flavor, so I'd give it about like a 4.5.
For spice level, I'll give it about a 5, but for taste, I'll give it a 7. I'll be nice on the taste level.
Alright, let's get to the next
Wait, we gotta get our drinks first before so we don't have the taste cross over with each other too much.
That tastes like corn.
What?
Tortilla.
And definitely try these chips for yourself. They're really good.
I was gonna grab more, but you know.
It's not even sponsored, bro. Get that out of here.
Wow.
So now we're up to the Pringles. Which,
This looks pretty red hot.
yeah.
Really let it spread around.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Has a lot more of a lime taste.
Okay. I have to eat one more before I can get a good idea.
Really like these. I like them more than those.
Ouch. Swallowed like half a chip whole and it's like stuck in my throat.
Oh, I've had it happen. Ow.
Is it just me, or are these spicier than those?
I see these a little bit spicier.
Ow.
I've moved these up a point. This is a 5 for spiciness, but taste is a 6.
I would give it a 6 for spiciness,
I would, yeah. I'd give it like a 7 for spiciness.
and for taste, I'll give it an 8. It's actually
Yeah, I would
really
give it
good.
like an 8.5.
I mean, those are actually really good. Now we got one more. Also, really quickly, before we do the final one, if you guys have any suggestions of what topics we should do for next episode, we're very open to ideas.
Or anything to taste test.
Nothing political. I don't want to do stuff political next time. I don't like it. I don't
Yeah.
like political things.
Well, but we're not. We're gonna do it maybe in the future. We're not saying we're not gonna do it again, but
yeah,
let's
not next time.
maybe something serious. Though we're open to serious discussions.
Wow,
but-
typically I don't find these things spicy. Haven't had spice in a while.
Okay, so now let's do the spicy Cheetos.
Yeah.
Oh, I freaking love spicy Cheetos.
Tried Cheeto yet?
Yeah.
I gotta keep throwing them.
Regular Flamin' Hot Cheetos are nothing. They're pretty good. Spice, when you first try them, I give them about a 3. But for a while, I'm going to start giving them a 1. A 0 is just they're not spicy. Actually, not 1, because I've had 1s / 0.5s. So I'm just going to give it a 2.
For spice, I'll give it a 3. But for
For the
taste,
long term, for me.
for taste, I'll give it a 6.
Taste. 6.
Now, I'm going to try this.
I'm gonna eat this.
I'm making a sandwich.
Oh yeah, try all 3. It's a good idea.
Delicious. You guys can't eat this because
You're behind
you're down
camera.
to- yeah, you're behind camera. Haha.
This is delicious.
So good.
All 3 combined are even spicier and better.
Not really. Feels
No.
like they cancel each other out.
Just tastes like potato. But these are probably the best.
Yeah, I would say
These
these
are
are the best.
definitely the best.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
So if you want, in our opinion, the best spicy chip out of these 3 choices,
Now, can we can name the Pringles?
Pringles,
Extra hot chili and lime.
best one so far out for us. So for next challenge, we can either do more food challenges, but we can also do other challenges if you really want us to. We just decided to start off with something simple, spicy.
My toilet's gonna be broken when I get home.